Hi and welcome to another PicToWeave tutorial. Today we're going to talk about a new feature in PicToWeave which helps you to use multiple colors in your wrap or background thread to enhance your weave. So it's not a particularly new idea. In fact, if I bring up a photo here, we can see a weave that was done back in about 2008 by actually a novice weaver who entered a weave competition held on the PicToWeave forum. Now the contestants all had to do the same weaves or a selection of a limited range of weaves. So what he's done is to spice it up a bit, change the background thread so that we've gone from green through to blue to give the indication or the illusion of some grass and fading into a sky. So quite a clever implementation and a good way of showing that even on a single color weave you can dress it up quite significantly. You might, for instance, have your favorite football team logo and the team colors in the background. More recently I've done a weave which I use the same technique to give a representation of the colours of a French flag. So we can see we've gone from blue to white to red. So what we'll do firstly is talk about the actual mechanics of doing that, how you go about changing the wrap thread whilst doing the weave. So I'll just lower those two there and just bring up a little drawing that I've prepared. So you can see here we've got our blank indicated by this grey area. We're wrapping it towards us with the thread coming under and back over the top, which is basically how I work. I find that that tends to have everything pulled down tight as you're going around from the number 1 through to, let's say, 100 in a 100 thread weave. As you move, it keeps going tighter. So that's how I prefer to set up. But in any case, we continue on as normal with our weave, and when we get to a point about 5 to 10 rotations before we want to change, we insert a couple of tie-offs, and I use 2. I think it's probably the safest way of going about it. Then we continue doing our weave until we come to our change point, at which point we'll cut our main thread, our first colour, and insert it through the tie-off nearest to you and pull it back through. Then we take our new colour and we insert it through the tie-off furthest away and pull it through. And what you'll have then is that these two threads will be slightly overlapped. If you were to do it the other way around, you would have a gap between them, which will look ugly. If you try to pull them both through in the same tie-off, you could have problems getting it to match up. So I find it easier to work with 2 separate ones. Give yourself that little bit of overlap. When you do pull it through, don't immediately cut off the pieces that are hanging through. Tape them back out of the way. Leave yourself a good amount, because you may find that you need to pull on that later to tighten this wrap thread if you happen to dislodge it while you're burnishing, or that or you're pulling your design threads through on the weave. So as I said, make sure you put these on the underside, on the opposite side to your weave, and done properly, the change will be virtually invisible. So we'll close that down, and then we'll have a look at the changes that have been done in PicToWeave to make that sort of operation a little bit easier. So the first thing we can see, there's a bit of a change in the interface. We've got a little LED indicator here with multicolour wrap written beside it. When it's green, it means that we're using a multicolour wrap. When it's red, it means that we're using a single colour wrap, which would be the colour we've got in our original wrap colour dialog here. So if we open up that same weave, for instance, we'll just wait for that to load, and you'll see that the background colour as designed was a medium green. So if I fill that background, the entire background is the same colour. So we're working off this dialog here. which has a range of colors. If I clear that and then we go to edit multicolor wrap settings, there's a new window which allows you to edit. Now when you're in this window, it will override anything that you've got on this one out here. This will no longer be effective. So as you can see, when it loads up first, it puts in the original color, and from turns 1 through to 144, which is the size of the actual weave. So to change it, first of all, we need to click on the line that we're going to change. We're going to change that to our blue color first, and apply that. Now we need to work out where we're going to make our changes. As I said, we've got 144 threads, but we're going to have some wraps before and after our weave. We need that in order to get our weave established and then tie it off at the end before we start pulling on all those threads. If you don't have enough, you're going to loosen that wrap thread when you start pulling on all your design threads. So I'd recommend at least 10 on either end. So if we put 10 on either end onto 144, it makes 164. So that's about 55 turns per color. So our first one will have 10 outside, so that means that we'll have 45 threads before our first change. So we need to change this one here from 1 to 44 and apply that. And now you can see we've got another button lit up which allows us to add another. So we'll add our white. We'll change that from 45 to another 55 on top of that, which is 100. Add that, and from 101 to 144 plus our 10 will give us 154, which is close enough. We need a red color, choose this scarlet, add that, and then we save the whole lot and close our window. Now you'll see our multicolor wrap indicator has gone green. If we were to fill in now, you'll see that we've got our 3 colors. It is a bit narrower in the actual weave, the first and the last, but bear in mind there'll be 10 threads before and 10 threads after where we've continued on with our chosen threads. So when you're finished, you do your tie-offs and so on. In the end, those will look even. If we now go on to our left list, we'll print that in color. We can see right at the very start, it tells us we're going to be using our dark blue thread to start. As we go through, when we get to 10 rotations from our change point, it tells us to insert our loops. Then when we get to turn 45, we change to white, pull it through with our 2 pull-throughs. Further on at 90, insert another set of loops. At 100, pull through our scarlet, and all the way through to the end. And you'll see it tells us to insert a loop prior to the end. You can either do that or not. If you were going to use a different color thread to cover up your where you've cut off your design thread, so you might change immediately to a different color and do your trims and so forth, then you would use this loop. If you're just going to continue your last color, in this case being the red, out over your cut off threads, then you wouldn't bother putting this loop in. So that last one's up to you which way you go about it. Here we've got the colors used in our weave. Now our next thing is if we look at our layer list, just allow that to load. We'll scroll down our layer list here through all our various layers, and we can see at the bottom it gives a list of all the wrap colors used, along with all the other information normally contained in the weave. So that's it in a nutshell. If we just go back quickly to the dialogue, a couple of extra things. You can see up here we've got an adjustment for how many turns before the change you put the loop in. I recommend 10. You can go as low as 5 and as high as 20. We limit it to that because more than 20 would be too hard to pull back through. If you need to change one of these, simply click on it, make your changes and then apply it. If you decide you need to delete it, right click on it, delete the current row. However, when you're finished, it must all add up from 1 to 144 in sequence. You can't have gaps, and it must go to the end. If I were to try and save this at this point, it tells me that the last number in the range must be 144. So this one here would have to be adjusted to be 144. If I close that without saving, I can open it back up, and here we have at 144. It will allow me then to save it. So I hope you find this useful, and as always, please feel free to post any questions on the forum. Thank you.